Swipe Up, episode 232, the podcast where I share my unfiltered thoughts on the latest news and entertainment updates. I'm your host, Ray Taylor, and every Thursday I'll be bringing you a fresh perspective on a variety of topics. OpenAI, the people behind ChatGPT. OpenAI research says 80% of U.S. workers' jobs will be impacted by ChatGPT, obviously. OpenAI researchers and the University of Pennsylvania suggest that 80% of U.S. workers may have at least 10% of their tasks affected by the introduction of ChatGPT. Obviously, that's not necessarily replacing workers, but in a lot of instances, I mean, you're seeing Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, all these giant companies laying off thousands and tens of thousands of employees because they're being replaced with AI. Like, I think Amazon replaced their HR department with AI. Like, it is going to be replacing a lot of actual jobs. But in addition to that, that's not the only way it's going to impact the workforce. It's also going to be used as a tool, especially for people who run their own business, for small businesses. These are tools that can really help you do a lot of things that you wouldn't be able to afford to do because you can't maybe not be able to afford to hire somebody to do those things. So, double-edged sword for sure, but they found that around 19% of workers may see at least 50% of their tasks impacted by ChatGPT or GPTs, which I don't know. What does GPT stand for? General pathetic teachers? No, I don't know. GPTs are generally, there we go. Here's the definition right here. GPTs are general purpose technologies. Like the steam engine or the printing press, and will soon be a commonly used tool in the workplace. Sure. I mean, they're being implemented into everything. Like, I mean, ChatGPT on its own, but then you see, like, Photoshop is implementing, there's a plugin. I haven't been able to play around with it yet, but there's a plugin that allows you to use Stable Diffusion and AI image generating implemented as a plugin into Photoshop. So, like, if you want to create custom fonts, you can do that by typing in a prompt. You want to render images or add aspects to your images, like being able to edit images, being able to not only rendering these things like you're already able to do with like DALL-E 2 or Stable Diffusion or any of these kind of rendering sites, image rendering sites. You're also going to be able to like edit stuff, and that's not even going to be limited to just images. Like, there's editing software for video, for audio, all of these things. There's already aspects of these editing softwares that are implementing AI. Like, you can record. I've seen one, like, this is months ago before even ChatGPT blew up. There was one audio recording software or app that used AI that could allow you to use like just the low quality audio that you may get, just like recording yourself on a loud street, walking down, recording like a selfie video, right? You put it through this audio software and it makes it sound like you're recording on high-end studio equipment in a soundproof room, right? So using AI as like a filter that like cleans up and makes things that are recorded and created on low-end tech, transforming those things into high-end products. Like, you even see it, like, I've seen a bunch of ads for an app that turns your old blurry photos into like really sharp, high-resolution photos. Like, all of these things are going to just be add-ons and plugins for every kind of editing software, whether it's a Word document, whether it's an image, video, audio, all of these things. It's the barrier to entry on all of these things that are already pretty easy to learn. There's going to be even less need to learn these things, right? Somebody that knows how to do all of the adjustments in like Adobe Premiere to make something look better and fit is going to be streamlined, and cut the process and the time that it's going to take people to do these things is going to be completely wiped out. And these things are going to be instant. Which, for me, who runs a business on my own, producing fine art, producing these podcasts, doing all of the editing for social media clips, like, I'm excited to see what I'm going to be able to do, what more I'm going to be able to do, and what better quality I'm going to be able to do those things as they get rolled out as plugins and tools for things that I'm already doing. You know? Like, if I can just dump an episode into, like, iMovie, right? Apple at some point is going to do all of this. They've said that they are holding back on their AI stuff because so many companies are letting go of people. They don't want to fire employees, right? More of an image PR type of a thing for Apple. But eventually they're going to do it. And eventually those things are going to roll out. Like, eventually the Siri in your phone or your tablet is going to do all the things ChatGPT can do, where it can actually give you answers and not just give you a link to the search on a website, right? It's going to become so much more useful once they implement AI into the voice activated. And I've seen that there's already, like, plugins and workarounds where you can do that. But, like, this is going to change a lot of things. And it's not necessarily going to be good for a lot of people. Like, a lot of people, like, a lot of jobs, like, if you're a graphic designer working at a big company, they're going to need a lot less graphic design. Like, they may have an art director and, like, a couple designers, and that could replace an entire team. Movie studios. Like, instead of using tons of animators and programmers to make, you know, the next Pixar film, they'll be able to just implement AI and have a few people render these movies in real time. Like, it's going to be ridiculous, the ease at which high quality content will be able to be created. And that's just like, and I'm thinking it from a content creation standpoint of making video, audio, text, you know, images, that kind of thing. But there's, like, on the business end, accounting, tax preparation, medical, like, every industry that requires people to sit in front of computers for a long time, like, a lot of that stuff's going to be gone. This is going to be one of the big jumps and leaps in human technology to change things. Just like the Industrial Revolution, just like the technological revolution when the internet first came about and people could set up a website and create a business to take, like, sell things online, connect globally, sell globally. Like, the things that have changed exponentially so far, it's going to be like that, but possibly even bigger. The researchers used the ONET database to determine the tasks to measure for each occupation and collected both human and GPT-4 generated annotations. The occupations with the highest exposure to GPTs include mathematicians, tax preparations, writers, web designers, accountants, journalists, and legal secretaries. Like I just said, occupations with the highest variance or less likely to be impacted by GPTs include graphic designers. I doubt that. There's going to be less of a need for a big design team. I've never worked in that. I've done my own stuff, but I've never worked I don't know what the corporate version of that is. Search marketing strategies, I don't buy that either. And financial managers. Like, I think all of those can easily be impacted as well. GPTs are anticipated to have the greatest impact on data processing services, information services, publishing industries, and insurance carriers, while the least impact is on food manufacturing, wood production, product manufacturing, and support activities for agriculture and forestry. So some things that are like directly tied to dealing with natural substances, maybe. Occupations requiring science and critical thinking skills are less likely to be impacted by current language models, while occupations involving programming and writing skills are more susceptible to being influenced by GPTs. The study has limitations, including the fact that the human annotators were familiar with the model's capability and did not belong to some of the occupations measured. So our ability to use these tools is limited, but I mean the people going to school to learn how to use like editing software or any tax codes, like there's the complexities of things people go to school to learn, and to compare that to learning how to communicate with a AI, giving them the right prompts. I mean, one, it's going to be easier. I've seen things about AI where the whole prompt thing is going to become far easier, where people who have very little experience understanding how to perfectly structure a prompt to get what you want is going to be unnecessary. So that aspect, I think, is just going to be going away pretty soon. The report suggests that GPT models will soon be a commonly used tool, with Google and Microsoft already announcing that they will be introducing AI in their Office products such as email, documents, and their search engines. It's just sad that Apple's waiting on this, because I don't use Google, I don't use Microsoft. The reason why I have Apple products is because they come with the apps that are for free. Like, I've edited thousands of podcast episodes using only GarageBand and iMovie. So, but it's just a matter of time before they roll it out as well. So, anyway, Google and Microsoft ahead of the curve, but I think they have a pretty dominant lead. So I think they can afford to take their time. But it's right around the corner, I'm sure. I personally use ChatGPT, as I said, for tons of things in the production of this show. And I've mentioned it on my other show, Ray's Days. But I edit everything by hand. But what I use ChatGPT for, things like generating YouTube titles, descriptions, and tags to make sure they're all SEO, optimized. I've used it for intros and outros for the show. The new Ted Lasso recap show, I had it write an intro and outro, which I'm still getting used to doing in the style of Ted Lasso. I've had it write ad copy for the promos that I have that play during my podcast, emails, proposals for sponsors that I'm preparing to put together to get sponsors for different things. I also use it just to ask basic questions, like how to make a multi-purpose cleaner using like water and vinegar, like just basic stuff. Asking it instead of like going to Google and searching and then having to go through the articles that are like loaded with advertisement, or trying to go on YouTube and trying to scrolling to the point in the video that may or may not even have my answer. Like, I can just literally ask it stuff, and it's pretty good at giving me the correct answers. I use it for so many things. It's like the perfect assistant. When I put my show notes together and all of the things to prep, it makes it so much easier. I'm able to do research on stuff. Like this show, I'm able to do research on these articles in a way that I wasn't able to do before. And I can have it kind of parse things out and put things out in bullet points, so I know what the main topics are. So I know what the actual articles are about and what they're actually saying, instead of just giving my blanket opinion on what I think it's about. So I've used it in a bunch of ways, and I've mentioned how I look forward to using it as they roll into different editing softwares. So I don't know. I'm a fan of new technology. I'm a fan of using tools that I can use a lot that are very useful. I like to use the fuck out of tools. And so far, ChatGPT has been a tool that I've used a ton. It's not perfect, but neither are people. If I could somehow afford an assistant to do all of these things for me, I would still have to like go through and double check, right? I can't just blindly just trust that it's going to be perfect. But it's still like 90% perfect. It's not like minor adjustments here and there, tweak things here and there. So yeah, 80. I'm not surprised at all. We're getting into a time where like crazy things are going to happen, and I think a big reason why they're trying to ban TikTok and trying to pass legislation that will allow who's ever president at the time to just indiscriminately shut down businesses like TikTok. Meanwhile, they seemingly have zero problem with Meta and Twitter and all the other social media apps that do exactly the same things that TikTok does. They don't have a problem with that, but they want to have the okay to limit the freedom of speech in this country. They don't want people to connect, right? They need people to be livestock, to go work at corporations, to generate income for millionaires and billionaires, because those are the people that pay off politicians. Those are the lobbyists that write these laws.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.